Okay, we are live. So if you are watching this video, this is a posted live stream. And if you don't want to miss the live streams, I go live every morning, so make sure to turn on your notifications. Please like the video, that helps out a lot. Subscribe, turn on your comments. I don't want you guys to miss a thing. Now, this is going to be a very big update, and right off the bat, we did have major technical difficulties right before this, so I did my best to put this show together, and it's a good quality show for you guys. So we have one of the biggest updates I think I have done in a while, and I don't think people realize how big of a deal this is. This is a really big deal. Great to see all of you, and shout out to everybody, to Mr. JD Delay. Good to see you, my brother, and God bless you, and God bless all of you. And to all the people who are in this ice storm, some people still don't have power. God bless you guys as well. Hope you guys are okay. Okay, so as you guys see from the title, Greg Bovino loses his job. You probably heard about this by now, but there's a lot of misleading statements going on. Did he get fired? Did he not get fired? Where is he going? Is he just going to retire? Is he disappearing? What is happening? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. And it goes beyond just losing your job. I think this severely changes how the Trump administration will be performing going forward. Chief Bovino held a very unique role, commander at large, almost an ambassador role, but also a frontline soldier role. So we're going to be talking about that. And again, make sure you guys are please liking the live stream so others can see what's going on. It helps out a ton. We're also going to be talking about communication, working together. Homeland Security actually posted, watch, local Minnesota police arrested violent rioters last night. We have a phone interview from this morning. President Trump says, I had 2 very good talks with the mayor and with the governor. Even the governor saying, yeah, things are looking pretty good. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Tom Homan is in Minneapolis. So we're going to talk about what that means as well. I'm seeing, I don't want to use the word a win or a loss. I'm seeing some Democrats say, this is amazing, Chief Bovino is gone. But people are forgetting Tom Homan is just as ruthless and aggressive as Chief Bovino. Tom Homan might not be putting on the kit and being on the front lines, but Tom Homan is a very tough individual. He just operates a little more different. So for some Democrats out there who don't like Chief Bovino, I'm just letting you know right now, I wouldn't take this as like the biggest win ever if we're going to use that terminology. And the same goes for Republicans. A lot of Republicans are super upset with this as well. So again, we're going to go through all of this. Just wanted to get this set up for you guys. But the big thing right here is The Atlantic posted this article. Greg Bovino loses his job, and the internet went wild. Absolutely wild. So, let's dig into this. What does this mean to lose your job?
The Trump administration is making some major changes on the ground here in Minnesota. Border Czar Tom Homan will now be the lead. He will be reporting directly to the president. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino had been acting as the Border Patrol lead here, even hosting daily press conferences, really the face of the operation here. But Bovino is now returning to be Sector Chief in El Centro, California, and other Border Patrol agents are leaving as well.
Okay, so let's start with that just to get this off the bat. All of the wording is very crucial here when we look into the details. Number one, the very first thing, Tom Homan will be talking to President Trump directly. It's not that Chief Bovino never had the ability to talk to the president directly, but there is reporting that Chief Bovino has been locked out of his social media accounts. There are some indicators that there are people behind the scenes who were upset with Chief Bovino and his reaction to the prior shooting. And so, yeah, that's a huge indicator. That's what the president wants. He doesn't want people talking on the internet, social media stuff. He just wants direct lines of communication. Now, what does this mean? He's now going to be a sector chief. For those of you that are unaware, Chief Bovino is not in charge of Border Patrol. I know that for some of you it's crazy I even have to say that, but Chief Bovino is not in charge of Border Patrol. He is a sector chief, which is a very high rank. Very high rank. But understand, Chief Bovino, there are 20 other sectors, or 20 altogether. Chief Bovino, it's being reported, will be sent to the El Centro sector. Which is why I said, for those of you saying who are like super excited about this, and this is like a massive win for Democrats, he hasn't been fired. He's just going back to his regular job and still doing deportations at El Centro. Now, for those of you saying Bovino has not been relieved of his duty, this is why there's a lot of confusion. Now, Nick Sorter is somebody who is heavily connected to the Trump administration, heavily connected to lines of communication with Border Patrol. Now, Nick Sorter is reporting that President Trump was not made aware of this. So he is still holding this position as the chief, but not as the commander at large. As of right now, that is what we are being told. And what we're also being told is that Bovino will be leaving Minneapolis alongside Border Patrol agents. Some Border Patrol agents.
Now, Tom Homan is going to be calling the shots. Fox has previously reported that Homan operates differently than Bovino, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, and top White House advisor Stephen Miller. Yesterday, the president said he had constructive calls with Governor Walz and Mayor Fry. Walz writing afterward, "I had a productive call with President Trump earlier today. I told him we need impartial investigations of the Minneapolis shootings involving federal agents and that we need to reduce the number of federal agents in Minnesota." Here's the White House press secretary.
It is President Trump's hope and wish and demand for the resistance and chaos to end today. That's why President Trump spoke with Governor Walz directly this morning, and he has outlined a clear and simple path to restoring law and order in Minnesota. If Governor Walz and Mayor Fry implement these common sense cooperative measures that, I will add, have already been implemented in nearly every single other state across the country, Customs and Border Patrol will not be needed to support ICE on the ground in Minnesota. ICE and local law enforcement can peacefully work together.
Okay, so look, there's a few things going on here. Bovino, as of right now, it's being reported. Again, there's still a lot of confusion up in the air because some people are saying he's fired. Some people are using the word relieved. Some people are saying he's leaving Minneapolis. So again, what Homeland Security is saying is, Tricia McLaughlin is saying he has not been fired or lost his job. He is still the commander at large, but as of right now, it's being reported he's going back to California to his sector. However, that doesn't mean he still can't continue these other operations we've been seeing Border Patrol doing, like in an Operation Midway Blitz. We just have to wait and see what happens. Again, we will get into more details as to why that might be. And I know this is super confusing because, again, a lot of people are using different terminology. Again, we will hash it all out and we will go through the bullet points.
Now, Caroline Levitt said Tom Homan was on a plane here to Minnesota yesterday. The president says Homan will meet with Mayor Fry today. And DHS tells Fox it is reviewing body camera video from officers involved in the shooting death of Alex Preddy on Saturday. Preddy was seen using a cell phone to take video and was getting near immigration agents. DHS is also investigating the possibility that the gun Preddy had on him may have accidentally fired after he was on the ground. And last night, agitators continued their campaign of targeting hotels where they think immigration agents are staying, making as much noise as possible to prevent agents from getting rest. Agitators gathered outside a hotel in Maple Grove where they think Border Patrol Commander at Large Gregory Bovino was staying. Police began taking anti-ICE agitators into custody after that gathering was declared unlawful.
Okay, so that was last night, and that actually adds a lot of context to the story as far as cooperation with the police. As you guys know, 2 nights ago, there was a very viral clip circulating of federal agents being surrounded. And the local police, there was like 1 or 2 cops there, and then they showed up later. And the Trump administration was super upset about it. And then recently, they posted, hey, we're happy that there's communication now. We're happy that people are working together.
How is the secretary prepared to help him fully make that pivot?
Yeah, absolutely, Dana. And I think the president and secretary, they've had at-length discussions. I can't get into those specifics, but Secretary Noem will continue to oversee, of course, the Department of Homeland Security, and she's very happy that Tom Homan, who is a great asset to the president, has a great depth of experience and insight, that he will be overseeing Minneapolis. Secretary Noem has also been overseeing FEMA. She's been living there for 3 days during this storm, as well as U.S. Coast Guard, TSA, Secret Service. So her portfolio is really huge, and she'll continue with CBP and ICE. We've arrested and deported over 700,000 criminal illegal aliens.
Yes, I want to get to that.
2.1 million self-deportations.
Okay, so again, I'm just trying to let you guys know, Tom Homan is going to be in charge now of these deportation aspects within Minneapolis. Now, Kristi Noem overall is in charge of Homeland Security, of course, but it looks like Tom Homan will be in charge. I'm just trying to show you guys, Bovino, again, it's being reported, Bovino, he is leaving Minneapolis. He's out of there. Now, again, there was a lot of back and forth going on here between Nick Sorter and Homeland Security. There is no longer a commander-at-large at the U.S. Border Patrol. The position has been eliminated. Now, last night, Nick Sorter was in an X space. That is like a Zoom call, if you will, for X. And Nick Sorter was verifying that, according to his sources, and Nick Sorter is, what's a good word? Very connected to Homeland Security. Nick Sorter was saying, right here, I can confirm President Trump was not aware of the prior decision to remove Greg Bovino from his role as commander-at-large of the U.S. border, nor was Secretary Noem. Trump and Noem fully back Bovino, and someone down the food chain, as well will say, will have a rough week. Now, what is going on? There's a lot of back and forth going on. Tricia McLaughlin actually, let me just pull that up for you. Tricia McLaughlin had to respond and say, well, he was not relieved of his duty. Let me pull that up for you guys real quick. Let me see if we have her response here. Gregory Bovino has not been relieved of his duties, stated from the White House podium. He's a key part of the president's team and a great American. Yet it's still being reported he will be leaving Minneapolis. So again, he has his job, but he's not currently operating in Minneapolis. Again, it's being reported he's just going back to his sector as of now, along with the other agents who typically roll with him, which is about a 200 federal agent element. So as of right now, I think his position is sort of up in the wind. And Nick Sorter was reporting one of the reasons why this may have happened was due to reacting to either polling or people not being happy with how Bovino was responding to some of the things that happened with the shooting on social media. Again, it is being reported that Chief Bovino has been blocked out of his account. And if you go to Bovino's account, let's see if he's been responding to anything. No, he has not been. So, he has not been responding on his account, and if you guys follow Chief Bovino, heavily active. Now, some people are not seeing this as that big of a deal, but to me, the reason why this is a big deal is because this is really the first time we've had so much pushback as far as, or so much attention on the fact that, okay, all of a sudden we're hearing that Chief Bovino can't use social media. Now Chief Bovino got kicked out without the president knowing. I do think that's a very big deal. And again, in full context, a day ago, Homeland Security sources came out and said there's a lot of friction right now with other officials in Homeland Security not being happy that ICE is taking a lot of the flack for what Border Patrol is doing. It doesn't mean that the people are upset. The Homeland Security officials are upset with what's going on with deportations. They're just upset with some of the messaging. So again, a lot of this is sort of up in the air. What we know right now is that Bovino still has this title of Commander-at-Large, but has currently left Minneapolis and is back in the El Centro sector. But who knows? The way that this Trump administration works, tomorrow he might be in a Chicago.
Been received across our country. It's making the politics so bad for President Trump that he's having to change something in response. The White House today announced that Border Czar Tom Homan will take charge when he arrives on the scene this evening, taking over from Gregory Bovino of Customs and Border Protection. Just moments ago, we learned Bovino is expected to leave Minneapolis, with sources telling CNN that Trump administration officials grew deeply frustrated with his handling of the aftermath of this fatal shooting.
And by the way, I know this is CNN. This was also being reported over on a Fox News. Now, like I said, you can always take this with a grain of salt. If you don't believe it, you don't have to believe it. But I do my best to try getting both sides here. And other sources, conservative and left-leaning, were also reporting this. Thank you for the $5 donation. We also have to understand there's massive implications as far as how tactics might change. We know Chief Bovino is like a frontline soldier, also holds like this ambassadorship, goes on these press conferences, goes on television, talks about what's going on. Tom Homan obviously operates a lot different. Tom Homan not on the front lines, as far as like you won't be seeing a Tom Homan throwing tear gas. So again, these are big tactical changes as far as what to expect. We know that when Border Patrol shows up to an area, Chief Bovino's crew, they're very aggressive in their tactics. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying we know that that's how they operate. You guys can just go watch the Operation Midway Blitz clips. Chief Bovino, very, very aggressive in how he operates. And again, we might have an indication here the Trump administration just wants to change it up a little bit as far as what has been happening in Minneapolis.
Yeah, hey, Elizabeth, so we can confirm here that Commander-at-Large Gregory Bovino is no longer that Commander-at-Large. He's been relieved of command. He will no longer be in that position. He will be going back to the El Centro sector. That is where he was chief. Now we can also tell you that the social media pages belonging to the Commander-at-Large social media handle have also been suspended across the board. Of course, this all comes as Tom Homan is here in town tonight as well. And we've learned as well that all of these agents that are here working under Commander Bovino, several of them are also leaving town. Mayor Fry also confirming that after his conversation with President Trump today, that those agents would also be leaving. But there was some back and forth here that initially they were all going to be leaving. DHS kind of about-faced on that one. And now some of the agents are still staying. I've talked to several sources who were packing their bags ready to go, but then told to be on standby and stick around in Minnesota.
Yeah, and somebody made a good point. I just missed your comment. I was actually just about to make this point. This could also be that Chief Bovino's time was up in Minneapolis as well. And yes, agents are probably tired. I literally have that in my notes. Again, for those of you just joining, we had major technical difficulties, so I was just trying to put this together. So thank you for reminding me. That was going to be the next thing. This could also just be Chief Bovino's crew. A lot of them have been injured. I mean, people have lost fingers. like literally someone's finger got bit off. And so this could just be, look, the time is up. Chief Bovino and his crew, first off, very, very tough job to do. You just go to different parts of the country for 30 days at a time, maybe more, and you are on that front line every single day. This job is ridiculously hard. And again, whether or not you like Chief Bovino, physically speaking, mentally speaking, this is a difficult challenge. Everywhere you go, you are being watched, you are at threat of being leaked, things like that. So this could be just logistically speaking, their time was up and they might be going to another city. As far as the other cities, we could speculate possibly a Columbus, possibly somewhere up in Portland, Maine, possibly in Arizona, or might be going back to Chicago, who knows. So that could be another aspect of this, as far as it could just simply be his time was up.
We expect a press conference tomorrow, Elizabeth, where we should be learning more, because obviously if Tom Homan is in town, we have this change of the guard, if you will. We expect to have some more answers, but we don't necessarily expect to hear from Chief Bovino tomorrow, because he's allegedly leaving town as soon as tomorrow. So that will be interesting to see whether or not we hear from him at all. But it is the latest news is that Chief Gregory Bovino has been relieved as Commander-at-Large on these at-large operations. You know that we've seen him in L.A., Chicago, New Orleans, Charlotte, and now here in Minneapolis. And
so again, Tricia McLaughlin is reporting he has not been relieved. Some news outlets are reporting he has been relieved. I am going to assume today it's going to be all hashed out. But as of right now, what we do know is that Chief Bovino and some Border Patrol agents, I would assume it's the people who usually roll with Bovino, they are leaving Minneapolis. So again, The final recap of what this could be. Number one, what it could be is the Trump administration, or not the Trump administration, somebody within Border Patrol above Chief Bovino relieved him of duties. It could be that. Now we're being told the Trump administration didn't know about this. Tricia McLaughlin came out and said, no, this is not true. He hasn't been relieved of duties. But he is leaving Minneapolis because Tom Homan will be taking over. Or number three, it could be their time is up. People are tired. They need to rotate. And there's going to be another deployment coming soon. Those are really the three options here. And we will be getting into polling here very soon. Nick Sorter, who really was the one who broke this story, said he thinks that the Trump administration is also reacting to how some voters were not happy with the aftermath of the messaging. So there's a lot still up in the air, and I am hoping the Trump administration does hash this out. Again, from Tricia McLaughlin, she says, Chief Gregory Bovino has not been relieved of his duties, actually responding to a Nick Sorter. But he will be leaving Minneapolis. Now, apparently, we're being told there are good talks between the governor of Minnesota and mayor of Minneapolis.
But I had two very good talks. I had Jacob Fry and I had Governor Walz, and I mean they were great calls. So let's see how they report it. But they were very nice calls, very respectful.
So is there a possibility, President Trump, of some type of compromise? I read that some of the Guard will be leaving the state of Minnesota, some type of compromise to, I guess, make those guys feel like they're in charge, even though, God help us.
Yeah, well, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think so. What we need is their criminals. You know, they have criminals, and all I said, just give us your criminals, and if you give.
So again, the president made it clear they want criminal swapping going on as far as we want your criminals. We know that this has been a debate back and forth as far as the retainers.
My understanding is he's being a little bit misleading here, or a lot misleading, by saying that those 1,360 criminal legal aliens are not sitting in the county and city jails, which is exactly where they are. We know that last year, under Walz's leadership, that those city and county jails released 470 criminal legal aliens. So again, what the president, what Secretary Noem have been asking for is that level of cooperation before they release a criminal legal alien onto the streets, to give us notification so that we can come and pick them up and they're not going back onto the street to re-perpetuate crimes against Americans. And secondly, when we are seeing rioters, we're seeing things spiral out of control, assaults, obstruction of law enforcement, which is federal crime, as we've mentioned before, that those state and local governments and law enforcement are allowed to answer our calls for backup so no one gets hurt.
Okay. So again, we're seeing right now the narrative, or not narrative, but talking points going back and forth, mainly now specifically these criminals in the prisons, and wanting cooperation with Minnesota state leadership to work with federal agencies in deportation operations. Again, this is from the governor. You can take this with a grain of salt. I'm just trying to put this timeline together for you guys. I had a productive call with President Trump earlier today. I told him we need impartial investigations of the Minneapolis shooting involving federal agents and that we need to reduce the number of federal agents in Minnesota. The president agreed to look into reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota and talk to DHS about ensuring the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is able to conduct an independent investigation, as would ordinarily be the case. Now, could it be that the president did this negotiation and Chief Bovino and some men are leaving? It could be. But again, I like I said at the beginning of the show, for people who don't like Border Patrol and don't like these deportations and hate ICE, I would not take this as the biggest win ever. Just because Bovino is leaving Minnesota doesn't negate the fact that Tom Homan is as aggressive as a Chief Bovino. Maybe not physically on the ground, like I said, but Tom Homan has been doing this for a very long time. And in my opinion, Tom Homan has a lot more power and control than Bovino as far as having direct access to the president. And if Tom Homan tomorrow says, I want 2,000 more agents, in my opinion, I think Tom Homan can have that. So, again, it could be a tactics change. There's a lot going on here. I don't want to speculate too hard, but the timing of all of it is really interesting. That yesterday, they had peaceful talks, there was some negotiating going on, and now Chief Bovino is leaving. Here's the mayor. Again, I mean, black and white messaging here, guys. For those of you who've been watching these live shows and videos, look how much different this is. I spoke with President Trump today and appreciated the conversation. Looks like they had a great talk as well. I expressed how much Minneapolis has benefited from our immigrant communities and was clear that my main ask is that Operation Metro Surge needs to end. The president agreed. The present situation can't continue. That sounds a lot different. Again, I cannot confirm there was some sort of negotiating going on that had to do with Chief Bovino. But what I am saying is the timeline of all of this is rather interesting. Some federal agents will begin leaving the area tomorrow, and I will continue pushing for the rest involved in this operation. Now, when they say some federal agents, I don't know what that means. When we say some federal agents, considering there are thousands in the area. And also, federal agents is a very vague term. I mean, the guy who takes pictures of the operation could be a quote-unquote federal agent, or somebody who rolls with Chief Bovino on the front line is also a federal agent. Not dismissing the camera guy, but he's also a federal agent, so keep that in mind. Minneapolis will continue to cooperate with state and federal... This is interesting. Minneapolis will continue to cooperate with state and federal law enforcement on real criminal investigations. But we will not participate in unconstitutional arrest of our neighbors or enforce federal immigration law. Violent criminals should be held accountable based on the crimes they commit, not based on where they came from. I will continue working with all levels of government to keep our community safe, keep crime down, and put Minneapolis residents first. I plan to meet with Border Czar Tom Homan tomorrow to further discuss next steps. So again, you guys can let me know how you feel about this. And somebody brought up the Signal chat. We will be talking about the Signal chat here in a second. Don't worry. I just want to finish on this segment real quick because, again, we do have a big tactical change in Minneapolis. But, again, it doesn't make sense to me that Chief Bovino would be completely fired because the Trump administration has been very reliant on Chief Bovino and his crew to back up ICE agents. And about a month ago, 2 months ago, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a big news story that the Trump administration wants to change how ICE operates. They want to have people like Chief Bovino over all the different ICE areas around the United States. So it doesn't make sense to me that now all of a sudden they would have fired a Chief Bovino. They got rid of that position. They got rid of all those agents, and now they're just going back to what they're doing.
Tom Suozzi, a Democrat from New York, says that he regrets voting for DHS funding. Bill Clinton has put out a statement. I mean, we do not actually often see former presidents weigh in on their successors. They're sort of historic. I mean, pre-Trump anyway, there was this sort of unwritten rule that you tried to let the new guy do his job, even if you weren't in the same party. But Bill Clinton says over the course of a lifetime, we face only a few moments where the decisions we make and the actions we take shape our history for years to come, and this is one of them. Barack and Michelle Obama put out a statement over the weekend as well. How is this being taken in? What would you say?
Yeah, I am really trying to remove the politics out of this because I hope and pray that whether you're a Democrat or Republican, we don't want to see these images coming out of America. It has to be bigger than politics at this moment. This is supposed to be the land of the free, and you should not be a ICU nurse for the Veterans Affairs and be murdered in the streets of any city in America. I do think, though, this is terrible for the Republican Party and for the administration, and Donald Trump knows that, and he knows that.
I am curious what you guys think. The aftermath of the shooting, do you guys think that the Trump administration messed up? Do you think everything went okay? I am curious what you guys think. Again, we're going to look at some polling. Again, when it comes to polling, I always take it with a grain of salt. But what some people are implying, people who are smarter than me, really into the political game, some people are saying, to include Nick Sorter. Nick Sorter was claiming last night on X Spaces, and he did clarify, if he's wrong, he's wrong, but this was his opinion, that he thinks the Trump administration might be reacting to some of the backlash from voters. Again, take it with a grain of salt. All right. So I think we got most of that. Again, we'll get to some reactions to that, I think, later. But a lot of people were bringing up the Signal chat. Signal chat. For those of you that are unaware, Cam Higbee, journalist on X, if you guys want to go follow him. According to Cam Higbee, he has infiltrated this Signal chat in which was being used, allegedly, to monitor and run these different shifts of people who are watching Homeland Security agents. Now, we have confirmed, Kash Patel confirms that they are looking into it. Apparently, the FBI is looking into it.
The ongoing investigation involving the shooting last week is being led by DHS, and of course we're supporting our interagency partners there. The Signal Chat group is information we collect from the public because we repeatedly request the public provide us with information they have. And what we are going to do is what we have been doing across the country under President Trump's leadership to deliver this historic success from year to year. It's not a trust me situation. It's a look at the last year. It's a look at what we did when the FBI opened up their task force in the state of Virginia under President Trump and our great partners at DOJ and the Attorney General. We wiped out crime in the state, and we're going to do that in every single city. We've done it for the whole year. And on this type of specific investigation, what you do, generally speaking, is you send out subpoenas, you collect data, you put people in grand juries, and you find out who broke the law. And if anyone broke the law and incited violence, remember, that's the key here. We are not going after people and infringing on their freedom of speech to peacefully protest. We are definitely not going after people on their Second Amendment right to bear arms. Only if you incite violence and or threaten to do harm to law enforcement officials and break the law in any other way does it become an investigatory matter. So this Signal Chat is something that we, the FBI, are looking at and spearheading.
Okay, so I already see some comments. Some of you are saying we are quote-unquote looking into it, and that is what some people were also saying in this comment section as far as reactions to Kash Patel going on Fox News and talking about the Signal Chat. So you guys can let me know what you think about that. Now let's get into this polling. Again, no matter who's doing the polling, whether it's a CNN or anybody, I always take polling with a grain of salt for obvious reasons. But the one side of the speculation or story, heavy emphasis on speculation, is that the Trump administration may have reacted to some of the negative polling or to some of the backlash against Chief Bovino and Kristi Noem as far as the handling of the current situation in Minneapolis. Again, I say this with the biggest grain of salt. I don't know how big a grain of salt can get, but here is a recent report on the polling as far as ICE activity, Homeland Security activity.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised that President Trump is sending Tom Homan in because ICE, DHS, Kristi Noem have been a political disaster because just take a look here. I mean, ICE's net approval rating during Trump's term. You go back to term number one. Look, it's pretty even at 0 points. You go to June 2025, right? That was when all that stuff was going on in Los Angeles. They dropped down. Look at this, minus 17 points, way in the basement. But then after Minneapolis, it's even lower, minus 27 points on the net approval rating of ICE. Of course, this...
Now, again, this is my personal opinion. My only issue that I have with this poll in June is, and you guys can let me know how you feel about it, I was covering Homeland Security operation, deportation operations around the United States. And if there was one talking point the Trump administration really had in their favor, it was ICE. It was Homeland Security. It was deportation. So myself, I'm a little skeptical of the June number, the now number, possibly, depending on who we're polling. But as far as this June number, I don't know if it was really that low, to be honest with you, because I was covering Portland, And as you guys know, a lot of people were like, what is going on in Portland? We want deportations, or Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago. So that is my opinion as far as this June number.
All being done under Kristi Noem. So no, what's going on in Minneapolis is not popular at all. What's been going on during this second term under ICE, under the Trump administration, under Kristi Noem has very much not been popular, and it's only been getting more and more unpopular.
What about DHS kind of more broadly?
Yeah, okay. So, we're going to start down low. We'll start with ICE and then we'll raise it to DHS. And again, it's just the same exact story, right? DHS is doing an excellent or good job, the Department of Homeland Security. During Trump's first term, look where it was in late 2017, right about at this point. 59%. That's pretty gosh darn good. But look at where it is now in Trump term number 2. By late last year, it was down to 42%. So this is the same story that we're seeing no matter which poll question we look at. The popularity of ICE, of DHS, has completely fallen under the second Trump term, the second Trump administration, where what we were seeing during Trump's term number 1 was, hey, ICE, DHS, pretty popular, certainly not unpopular, but all the actions in Minneapolis, in Los Angeles, in these major American cities have been very much rejected by the American people. It has been a political...
Okay, so again, when we say the American people, I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know what the sample size is of this poll. Now, the other thing I do want to mention is there was the report 2 days ago from Fox, from CNN, and other outlets of these Homeland Security sources who came out and said they are not happy that ICE is getting a lot of the blame for what Border Patrol was doing. And ICE, in particular, some people were not happy with how the messaging and reporting has been going out. Again, whether or not you want to believe it, I'm just trying to show you guys all sides of the story here, because we're going to be hearing a lot about the negativity of Homeland Security and the numbers being low. I don't want you guys to be broadsided, because this is what's currently being reported, and it's my job to try and show you all the sides. But like I always say, with one of the biggest disclaimers ever, as you guys know with these polls, sometimes you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Disaster for the...
For me personally, maybe I'm too sucked into my own bias. When I was covering federal operations during the summer, the biggest indicator I got was there was a lot of support for the Trump administration as far as deportations.
Second Trump administration.
And now, as Berman was just reading what the president was just sending out, he's now sending in Tom Homan. His borders are into Minnesota, which leads to questions of what about the leadership of the Secretary of Homeland Security, who has inserted herself very publicly to be kind of front and center in all of these.
Yeah, I have to stop right here. What's your name? Control-Alt-Print. CNN literally just showed a poll that 50+% of people wanted deportations of all immigrants, including legal. That's my point. And that's why I am showing you this, because again, there are people who literally believe this black and white. This is true. I'm seeing it on TV. But then they didn't see the poll that said Americans want deportations. Who is doing the deportations? ICE, Border Patrol. That's why I show you guys this, so you can have an informed opinion, whether or not you want to believe it, because I think we have a little bit of conflicting talking points here.
Operations.
Yeah, as I said at the top, I just think there's a real reason for it, and that's because Kristi Noem, simply put, Kate, has not been popular, and everything she's done for the most part has not been popular. Just look at her net approval rating. In July of 2025, it was minus 11 points. It's actually gotten more unpopular now at minus 16 points. I looked at every single poll that has been conducted on Kristi Noem's popularity. Every single one, the net approval rating has been negative. ICE is negative. DHS is negative. As I said at the top, Kate, this has been an absolute political disaster for the President of the United States. It's not much of a surprise to me if he wants to push Noem to the side, Kate.
Okay, so you guys can let me know how you feel about that. Thank you for the $5 donation, generous donation. And somebody left a $10 donation. I will go back into my back end of YouTube and send you a message and say thank you so much for that if you're not here. Either we are a country of laws or we are not, says James. All these illegals choose to break the law to enter the USA. Jail all those that enable law breaking. That is what James says. Yeah, polls. I think the Trump administration is trying to push to make some of the polling illegal, if not factually accurate, or if there is ill intention to try and manipulate or something like that. I know the Trump administration has been looking into that. Okay, In other big news, you guys probably have heard about this. Congresswoman Omar is officially being investigated by the DOJ.
Trump saying the Justice Department is now investigating the finances of far-left Congresswoman Ilhan Omar out of Minnesota. But that scrutiny reportedly extending to the Biden administration as well. Interesting twist here. Chad Pergram looks at the timeline and more. Chad, good morning.
Bill, good morning. This is not just a Trump administration probe into Omar. This inquiry apparently started during the Biden years in 2024. The investigation centers around campaign spending. Now, the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. initiated the inquiry. President Trump posted on Truth Social that the DOJ is, quote, looking at Omar. He claims she left Somalia with nothing and is now worth, quote, $44 million. The president ripped Omar last week.
And then we have this fake congressperson who they just reported is worth $30 million. Do you believe this?
Okay, so what do you guys think about this? As far as this investigation, do you think it's going to go anywhere? Do you think this is a strongly worded letter? There has always been, for a while now, this want from a lot of Trump voters or conservatives to look into Congresswoman Omar. Now, I just put a poll on my own chat. We're going to do my own poll. We have 3.4 thousand people here, and I appreciate you guys. And if you are new here, make sure to please subscribe. Make sure to like the video. I don't want you guys to miss the morning shows. So we're going to do our own poll. And we're going to see how you guys feel about Homeland Security. And just to show you guys, again, what if we took this poll and I put it on the internet and I said, look, you see, we're already at 90% say Homeland Security is doing a good job compared to 10%. That is the official T-SPLY poll.
Ilhan Omar talking about the Constitution provides me. She comes from a country that's not a country, and she's telling us how to run America. Not going to get away with it much longer, let me tell you.
It's unclear how President Trump landed on the dollar figures. Other members from Minnesota have raised questions about Omar.
I don't know what she's doing, but I suspect that it's not legal. Who knows? You don't see that kind of change. I mean, she reported on her disclosures around here about a $65,000 net worth just a couple of years back. So Jamie Comer and the Oversight Committee are investigating this and looking into this, and this needs to be exposed.
Now, James Comer.
Okay. So again, just trying to show you guys that is happening right now. I don't have any responses as far as a left-leaning perspective, how people feel about that specifically. This is Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell, who is running for governor of California right now. Greg Bovino has been fired and is moving to California. I have made it clear that when I'm governor, anyone who terrorized immigrants will not be hired by the state. Good luck finding a job. Again, to make this clear, Chief Bovino has not been fired. Chief Bovino has been repositioned. Now, if you want to call that being fired, that's fine. But in terms of accuracy, as of right now, we're being told Chief Bovino and some of the Border Patrol element has left Minneapolis. What's next? We don't know. We never get told until like the day before, or Chief Bovino just shows up in a city like they did in North Carolina. They just showed up. Or like Chief Bovino showed back up to Chicago out of nowhere. We don't know. Here is Minnesota State Representative Aisha Gomez. I figured you guys might want to see what some of the talking points are on the ground there. To my knowledge, I don't think I can find a single city councilor or representative within the area of Minneapolis and St. Paul who supports the deportation operations, other than what we are being told at the beginning of the show from the governor and the mayor of Minneapolis. They're indicating they're going to cooperate to find criminals, but again, we sometimes see conflicting talking points.
We are angry about his loss and the brutality and the callous lack of regard for humanity that we saw in the video. And as the person who you interviewed on the street said, the slandering of his character by President Trump, Secretary Noem, Stephen Miller, the white nationalist architect of all of this, has just been infuriating. And, yeah, we're sad and pissed off. I mean, you can imagine. But I think that, I don't know what it looks like from where you're standing, but I will say that in the last few days, I have had a few Republican colleagues in the legislature speak out about the ICE's actions in our community and call on them to stop. We have seen Democratic senators standing together and saying we are not passing.
Okay, so again, just want to show you guys that is some of the talking points on the ground there. You really do get some conflicting statements. That's why I have no idea what's going to happen. Considering, again, we have the governor of Minnesota saying, we want to cooperate, we want to find criminals. We have the mayor of Minneapolis saying we're willing to cooperate. But then you have others who just straight up don't want them there. Just kick them out.
Well, I will vote no. I was voting no before this horror.
This is Senator Van Hollen. He is the man who went down to El Salvador to go see Kilmar Obrego Garcia. And by the way, I am keeping tabs on the Kilmar Obrego Garcia story as far as what's going to be next for him. He still has to face a trial in Tennessee to fight those charges of human smuggling. And thank you for becoming a member, Ria. I appreciate your support, and thank you guys for all your support.
Horrible incident that we witnessed today, just sickening what this administration is doing, allowing these agents to shoot and kill people in cold blood, and now they're engaged in another cover-up, as they were in the case of Renee Good. So we should not be giving them another dime. I would like to claw back some of the funds that the Republicans provided to ICE previously. In terms of change, it requires radical change and reining in ICE. It requires independent investigations of these killings, and we should get ICE out of Minnesota and other cities. So, look, I don't know I don't think the Trump administration is going to agree to these conditions. We should push for them, but if they don't agree, we should not be providing any funding to this lawless Trump ICE operation.
The only issue is ICE has enough funding for a very long time. All right, so that is Senator Chris Van Hollen. Now, you might be surprised to find out there is somebody out there. Where is he at? Now, U.S. Senator Fetterman, he says, I make a direct appeal to immediately fire Secretary Noem. Americans have died. She is betraying DHS's core mission and trashing your border security legacy. Do not make the mistake President Biden made for not firing a grossly incompetent DHS secretary. However, at the same time, he also says this.
President Biden did a terrible job, and our border was effectively open at that point. Whether Biden and Mayorkas did not secure our border, and I tried to warn my party back in 2023 that this would cost us in the election, and America deserves to secure our border. I don't know why every American can't agree with that thing.
So again, a lot of times, and I'm trying to sift through it as best as possible for you guys. In one sense, you will hear like this. We're sick of Kristi Noem. We don't like what's going on, but I also don't want the border to shut down. We have the mayor of Minneapolis. We will cooperate with Trump, but we don't cooperate with ICE agents. We have the governor of Minnesota. We want to document everything that's going on for future prosecutions of ICE agents, but we also want to cooperate with Trump. Guys, I understand. It is super confusing. Even with the Chief Bovino story. He's been relieved but not fired, but is leaving the state, was possibly relieved of duty and fired behind the scenes. The Trump administration brought him back, and now he's possibly going to another state. I understand. A lot of it's very confusing.
And another thing, it's the truth that we should all agree to deport all of the criminals, that are here in our nation right now. And now this, for me, as a pro-Democrat, pro-immigration Democrat, I do think we need to develop a way for for citizenship for the very hardworking migrants that are amidst this world now too. So as long as I do have to give credit to the president for securing our border, and now that's why order and arrest all of the criminals, and for that and the tragedy that happened, and we've lost 2 American citizens. I don't think anyone in America wants that, or that they would have voted for those things. So.
Okay, so leave your comments. Let me know how you feel about that. It's hard to gauge how some conservatives feel about Mr. Fetterman. I think it's easier to gauge. A lot of Democrats might not be the biggest fan of Fetterman as far as being more pro-cooperation with ICE.
Will Democrats now have a government shutdown and try and defund ICE, and would you support that?
Well, for me, I think maybe your viewers remember that I was one of the Democrats that led the pushback about the government shutdown last year, and for about 45 days they kept things shut down. And if the Democrats vote to shut it down, now our entire military won't be paid again. I can't ever support that. I absolutely hope we can engage. I absolutely hope we can engage in a debate and make some of the kinds of common sense reforms on ICE and make it more safe, more humane, and more effective, and just focus exclusively on the criminals. I hope that's possible. But for me, I remain to be the one Democrat, at least, that refuses to shut our government down.
He says the one Democrat, at least. To be honest with you, I am not sure if there might be others. I am not sure. But again, a lot of this, if not all of it, has to do with reforming Homeland Security. So we will be seeing what that's all about as far as future discussions. Now, this is also circulating. Thank you, Devori Darkins, for posting this. Shout out, Devori. But he should be shouting me out because he's way bigger than me. Governor of Kentucky says his state will fully restrain ICE officers and kick them out if they come.
What are you going to do if and when a massive ICE operation is launched in Kentucky?
Well, the first thing we have to do is demand that they pull these officers out of all of our cities and that they fully retrain every single one of them. They are operating with aggressive tactics that are not appropriate for law enforcement. They are not following our Constitution and giving people their rights. The idea that they have a memo that says they can just barge into someone's house without a real warrant is I mean, I guess they missed the day they taught law in law school. It's incredibly concerning. And so what they need to do is a full-on retraining. The way they're going about this, no law enforcement agency in the country would do it, because it not only puts the individual maybe they're trying to apprehend in more danger than they should be in, but it puts everyone else in danger. Think about everyone around each of these operations. It's putting each and every one of our communities in a place where law enforcement is supposed to protect us, and this group is doing the exact opposite.
Okay, so to be honest with you, I don't have any indicators that the Trump administration is eyeing down Kentucky. That was not on the list of states or areas of operation where we might see another Chief Bovino come in and do their thing. Again, a very big misleading talking point. ICE has never stopped what they're doing. ICE has literally never changed anything other than working in conjunction with Border Patrol more aggressively and more out in the open in public. So this indication of, if we get a bunch of ICE coming in my state, I have bad news for the governor. ICE is in the state. Now, to be fair to him, maybe he's talking about this surge. I have no indicators there's going to be a big surge in Kentucky. The big target zones has always been Chicago or Illinois. Columbus, Ohio seems to be a hot spot. We know Minnesota, St. Paul, or Minneapolis and St. Paul. Maine seems to be another hot spot. Again, we have no idea. We're still waiting for the full details of Chief Bovino and what's going to happen next. But as far as ICE operations overall, literally nothing has changed. All right, let's continue here. Speaking of Maine, Maine's first woman district attorney.
First of all, the Congress needs to stand up to this bully. The Congress needs to stand up today and tell this president that Kristi Noem must go and ICE must be withdrawn. They're only creating problems. They're not protecting the public safety. Look, they've detained, arrested people in Maine, 2 corrections officers, not one, in 2 different counties. People who are just doing their job, who had complied with federal and state screenings, and including the Border Patrol screenings. And they arrested a civil engineer who's working here in Maine. They arrested a mother of 4 children in front of her kids. What the heck? What does that prove? These are not people with criminal charges or criminal backgrounds. These are people who are contributing to our society, to our community. Employers are calling me every day saying, I got people who are valued employees and ICE has taken them away. They've disappeared. What the heck does that, what purpose does that serve?
Okay, so again, as of right now, the main operations are underway. We don't have an indication of Border Patrol elements such as like a Chief Bovino. That could happen, but as of right now, looks strictly to be an ICE-only operation. All right, so this is also being reported. Curious what you guys think about this from Bill Maluzhin of Fox News. Breaking: Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman office tells me that after months of negotiations, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is expected to testify before the committee on March 3rd. I'm told there will be one round of questioning, with each senator on the committee allotted 10 minutes to question. Secretary Noem, which Grassley's office says is consistent with the 10 minutes that was allotted during AG Bondi and FBI Director Patel's hearing. These are the senators involved. Adam Schiff is in there, Alex Padilla, Cory Booker, Dick Durbin, and others. Now we also have Senator Rand Paul. Today I call on the heads of ICBP and USCIS to testify before the Homeland Security Committee. So we have a bunch of calls to action as far as wanting to hear or have hearings, if you will. So we will be monitoring that and watching that. We might watch it live. I'll be honest with you, every time I watch the Homeland Security overview or committee, I mean, it really turns into like a very dramatic show of fighting back and forth between the people on the board. So if you guys want to watch that, we'll watch it. But make sure to please subscribe. It should be noted that LaMonica MacGyver is on that board and has been charged with assaulting a Homeland Security officer. That gets brought up a lot, and she gets very upset about it. And we are also monitoring that situation as well. She tried to get her charges dropped on the basis of I was doing my federal duties of a congresswoman, but they have not been dropped. We saw that. Representative Mike Lawler condemns the rhetoric used on both sides. Let's see this.
We just showed at the top of the show what happened to Alex Preddy in Minneapolis from a number of angles in slow motion. He appeared to be unarmed. Someone takes the gun that he had a legal license to carry away from him, and then he is shot in the back as many as 9 additional times. Is this what you can see here, what you I'm sure have seen with your own eyes, something that should have happened in America?
No, this absolutely should not have happened. It is tragic, as was, the incident with Renee Good just a few weeks ago. We don't want to see any Americans getting killed in the streets, regardless of, what the facts are. It shouldn't happen. I think, obviously, there needs to be a thorough and complete and transparent investigation. with the cooperation of federal, state, and local officials. And I think that's a good sign that President Trump and Governor Walz spoke today. I also think, to Senator Cruz's point, the rhetoric needs to stop.
Yeah, so I'm curious what you guys think about that. Again, oh, thank you so much for the membership, Lou Taub. Thank you for becoming a squad member. There are conservatives who have come out and said they're not happy with the rhetoric, not only from Democrats, but also from Republicans. So again, whether or not you want to believe it, if you want to be upset, that is what's being said by some Republicans as well. I'm just trying to give you guys the information here.
This is not helpful to the American people, whether it is, calling ICE Gestapo or calling American citizens domestic terrorists. People do have a right to protest. Law enforcement also has a right to do their job without being impeded. And I think a lot of things can be true all at once. And it's incumbent on elected officials on both sides of this equation to bring the temperature down.
All right. Again, we don't know the full truth as far as I see some people in the chat are so adamant that, look, Chief Bovino is fine. He's just going to California. We don't know the full truth, and I don't know if we'll ever know the full truth. Thank you for the $10 donation. G Ballin too. I appreciate it. Very generous. In my opinion, I laid it out to you. I think there's 3 reasons why it could possibly happen. Number 1, there could have been a negotiation going on behind the scenes, and Trump agreed that we will lower the amount of federal agents, so we send Chief Bovino away with his agents. It could be Chief Bovino was actually not fired, but relieved of that specific duty of commander at large, but then he got that title back or never lost the title, according to Homeland Security. But all we do know is that he is leaving Minneapolis and Tom Homan right now is in charge. And the third option could be the time was up. Chief Bovino's time was up. His men are tired. His men are injured. It's time for mission reset. And we are possibly preparing to go to Chicago, go to Portland. But we don't have the exact details from the Trump administration as far as what happened, didn't happen. This is why Chief Bovino is leaving. We just know Tom Homan's there. But let's be honest. I mean, we're never told why a Chief Bovino is leaving. We didn't get told why he left Chicago. Just the time was up. And then he returned back to Chicago. Who knows? Chief Bovino might come back to Minneapolis. Who knows? All right, let's go here.
I think it is irresponsible to call someone a domestic terrorism before you have the facts.
So you agree with me?
Yes, I agree with you on that.
Stephen Miller,
But here's the point, Jessica. We've listened for 2 minutes. You are no different than Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem came out and said domestic terrorist. You are coming out and saying murderer. When you say murder, you are calling those 6 agents murderers before you have the facts. The responsible way to handle this is to say, 1, it is a tragedy anytime a U.S. citizen dies. It is a tragedy that Renee Good died. It is a tragedy that Alex Preddy died. Number 2, we call for an investigation because we don't arrive at conclusions. We don't call people domestic terrorists who were killed before investigations. Disagree with the administration on that. So too does President Trump and on Renee Good.
No, well, he didn't on Renee Good.
But you are not calling for an investigation. You are retracting into partisan talking points by coming out and calling these guys murderers. We don't know the facts. A responsible thing is an investigation. President Trump has been the most responsible person in all of this. Today, Caroline was asked, what do you say when Kristi Noem says there was maximum damage? And they said, Trump wants an investigation and to let the facts lead. What do you think about calling them domestic terrorists? I have not heard Donald J. Trump characterize Alex Preddy that way.
Yeah, so again, just commenting on the back and forth of it. Democrats or left-leaning voters who are upset with Kristi Noem for her implications, as you're seeing here, kind of flipping the script and saying, well, what about you referring to people as murderers, a legal term that courts use in order to indicate you purposely took somebody's life? Now, again, to clarify, for those of you saying in the chat, well, he wasn't fired. Yes, we went over that at the beginning of the show. Again, the point I was trying to say is there's a lot of misleading statements of losing your job. You can use the word fired generally, but Chief Bovino hasn't been demoted as far as a chief sector. He's always going to hold that position. But as far as the commander at large position, we're being told he hasn't lost that either, but he is out of Minneapolis. which does severely change the tactics of how people operate in Minneapolis. There will still be deportations, but I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of those clips of like Chief Bovino and his crew on the front line as far as a lot of the clashing with protesters. We might, but we'll see. Chief Bovino is very, very aggressive in how he operates. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just saying that's how he operates. And I think the Trump administration likes that, personally.
I'm very confused about why the conversation is about what you're talking about instead of focusing on what really matters, which is why in one city, in one place do we have these problems. We deport 10 times the number of illegal aliens out of Texas than we do out of Minneapolis. Why do we hear nothing out of Texas about any of the same problems that we have in Minneapolis? I'll tell you why. Because in Texas, we have the cooperation and support of local law enforcement so that we can do these operations safely, keeping U.S. citizens and others protected and safe. That is not what we have in Minneapolis. And the fact that it's the administration that's being blamed for the utter failure of leadership in Minneapolis is not right. It's not appropriate.
But are
and
you
it's also
saying those
not
officers?
true. I'm very confused about why the...
Okay. That is going to be a forever talking point, it seems like. There doesn't seem to be as much pushback really anywhere else, but in Minneapolis, there seems to be a lot of pushback. We saw that clip, and we saw Kash Patel at the beginning of the show. JB Pritzker says, "You're next to Secretary Noam." Newswire, Gregory Bovino removed from his role as Border Patrol commander. But again, as indicated, Tricia McLaughlin said that is not true.
Where else except Minneapolis? And what does Minneapolis have that nobody else has? Walls and Fry, and a failure to cooperate, and them out radicalizing their constituents, comparing this to the Diary of Anne Frank, calling it the Battle of Gettysburg. Come on. That is not responsible rhetoric. So for whatever you want to say about Stephen Miller or anybody else at the White House, the local politicians have responsibility to be more measured in their own rhetoric and to simply cooperate with the federal government.
Well, I mean, speaking of being measured in your rhetoric, the vice president also retweeted Stephen Miller calling Alex Preddy an assassin, something that no one is even repeating today. Paul Begala, Scott Jennings, thank you both for joining me.
Okay. So again, you guys are 100% going to be hearing that back and forth a lot. The quote-unquote rhetoric from the left and from the right, or Trump higher-up positions. And as of right now, I saw somebody ask, have we seen Tom Homan on the ground yet? We have not, but we do know he's out there right now. I am very curious to see how these tactics change, what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting. And I'm also very curious to see what's going to happen next with Chief Bovino. Again, to clarify my opinion, I don't think it makes sense for the Trump administration to want to get rid of a Chief Bovino. When these reports came out that Chief Bovino was quote-unquote fired, relieved, lost position, that didn't make sense to me because of how much the Trump administration has been utilizing Chief Bovino and his 200-man crew. Going into sanctuary cities, going into areas, and really almost checking the cities, being the first ones on the ground to really be out there and conduct these broad sweeps, because ICE doesn't really do that. They can, but they don't. They didn't have the manpower, and they typically rely on more tactical, targeted operations. With Chief Bovino, he can roll in if he wants and do these broad sweeps and ask people publicly, are you a legal citizen or not legal citizen? So it made no sense to me that they would have gotten rid of a Chief Bovino. But yeah, as of right now, again, what is being reported, what I am seeing is that Chief Bovino is currently in California. As of right now. But he still holds the title of Commander at Large. He still is a sector chief. So we'll just have to wait and see what's going to be next. Thank you, BP4 America, for becoming a tactical scooter soldier. And much love to you. I appreciate you a lot. All right. So that is pretty much the main topics of today. I am really hoping we get further clarification of what's next, but we'll see. We will see. But the mission doesn't end for ICE. just because Chief Bovino is not there, remember, he's one guy. There are thousands of agents out in Minneapolis. So I wouldn't see this as like the biggest win, if we're going to use that wording, for people who hate Chief Bovino, because Tom Homan, in my opinion, is just as aggressive, if not more aggressive, and actually more influential, in my opinion, as far as having direct connection to the President of the United States and a lot of influence. Alrighty. So that is pretty much the show. That is everything I have for you guys, all the most relevant information as of right now, and we will be waiting to see some more updates as far as the Bovino situation, more updates from Tom Homan, and I'm assuming we're going to see a Tom Homan press conference at some point. We'll see. And I'm really curious to see what Kristi Noem has to say next. But yeah. All right. Appreciate all of you guys. Again, make sure to please subscribe, turn on your notifications. And that is the information we have right now. Thank you guys for everything. And please pray for peace. We need that right now. And I hope I was as fair as possible, trying to give all sides. I can tell some people get upset when you show one side, but unfortunately, I think we need to dig into the depths of the other algorithm that we never see. And so, yeah, I'm doing my best to keep it as fair as possible here and give you guys all the information. So God bless. Thank you for all the support, and we'll see you all later. Thank you, guys.